may not like it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, here we are again for a regular episode. Everybody know that I go ham. I like to eat ham on Thanksgiving, cause fuck turkey. Always lurking in the oven, so disturbing. It's absurd that we eat this dry bird. I will kill a verse and ruin a family dinner, cause I am a winner and not a sinner. I'm getting thinner after dinner, cause I don't fuck with the turkey lurkey, murky, worky, jerky, jerking off in the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sweating right now. I think because of the pressure of that song. Listen, you only get one chance to do a song in the beginning of a podcast if you're about that life, okay? And listen, your boy about that life, about that one take, make it great, all the stakes, okay? Because if you try to do it too many times, it sounds rehearsed. Anything when people want to post like these candid moments on social media, that's why I can't stand it. When you can be like, how many fucking times did you film this video? Okay? When you see like these, like the setup fake pranks that are on social media, all the fake stuff. I'm like, why did you even do this? Who is this for? And it worries me. Fuck everything else going on in the world. It worries me the people who fall for fake prank videos. Okay, I'm talking about the silly, whack bonk style, dumb prank videos where the girl's like pretending she's in bed with another guy, and then a guy runs in and he's like, who is that? And he starts beating up a pillow and a volleyball. So dumb. Da-da-da-da-dum. Listen, we're back to the regular style podcast, okay? Because listen, we're going to be experimenting. We're going to be trying new things. You got to get jiggy with your wiggy every now and then. I meant to say Willie, okay? But then I started thinking about Will Smith while I was saying that. Speaking of wiggy, maybe Jada should have wore one at the Oscars, and we could have avoided this whole fucking problem, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about it. Let's fucking dive into it. What the actual fuck is going on in the world, okay? I'm sitting too low in the frame, so I gotta get back up here, all right? But this whole Will Smith, Chris Rock, unless you've been living under a rock, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. We all seen the fucking video. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Will Smith sounded like an angry person trying to sound scary, okay? He sounded like an Oscar-winning actor trying to perform in a room of people and to illustrate his intensity. That's what it felt like, all right? Because there's so much about this. We really need to decompress this whole situation. Let's start at the beginning. There was God and just darkness. All right, fast forward a little bit. Chris Rock, I believe, hosting the Oscars, at least announcing a portion of it. And it has always been a thing where comedians roast people in the crowd and tell jokes. And most of the time, they didn't even write, which allegedly is the case here, that Chris Rock didn't even write this joke. So Will needs to go find this fucking writer, who I hope is jacked and just a fucking MMA fighter that's just doing this as a side gig, and try to slap him. Because there's so much that's wrong with this situation. This, to me, is precious. There's a few things that are precious to me, and freedom of speech and understanding the situation of what a comedian is doing on stage. Will violated that completely. It is not okay what he did based on just the principle. I don't care if Chris Rock made a joke about her affairs in an open relationship. there was so much, like, there's been so many jokes at people's relationships. It's not a known thing. Fucking put it in your writer that you don't want to be mentioned in the thing. And if they can appease it, cool, great. And if they say no, you gotta take a joke. All right, well then don't go. All right. If you're that sensitive and worried about that happening, don't go. It's terrible. It's like someone bringing an untrained dog to a dog park, and they're just like, yeah, this dude just got out of the fighting pit. Yeah, I'll let him go in here. Okay, but hopefully no other dogs provoke him. What? It was such a, we're getting so deep in metaphors to this when really the situation is Chris Rock told a silly joke. It was the most mild joke you could make about that situation. And listen, alopecia, everybody's acting like this is a crazy thing that is like the worst illness. Oh my God. He made fun of her deformity. He made fun of her health situations, an illness that she suffers from. Alopecia. You mean the thing that 90% of guys suffer from on a regular basis? You want to talk about equality? You want to preach about that, but we can't make a little alopecia joke? Do you know what alopecia is? The definition? Balding. Do you know it's normal for women to also go bald? It might just not be as prevalent as men, but it's not some crazy thing. People get stressed out. People lose their hair. I get stressed out. Your boy's hair, I'm getting gray hair. It's part of life. If someone mocked me, should I be able to slap them in the face because they mocked me and tell them to keep my fucking hair out of their fucking mouth? No. Especially if I'm in an audience and a comedian is on stage. It was a bitch move, Will. Straight up. A bitch move. And it violates everything that stand-up comedy is supposed to be. And that's what pissed me off the most. And there's people who agree with what happened. Listen, there should never be a situation where a comedian feels like they can't say a joke because they're worried about someone assaulting them. Because that's going to fuck up the whole art form, and it's going to fuck up what, like, it's going to fuck up what stand-up comedy is, because so much of good comedy is teetering on that line of finding where that spot is that people can't joke about. That's why if people said things off stage, it would be terrible, but we know that it's stand-up comedy. That's what annoys me the most about this, is the people defending this and saying, you know, I was kind of bewildered that anybody thought Will Smith was right. And I think I get where they're coming from. They are looking at it wrong. They are looking at it that they were at a barbecue and someone insulted his wife and he defended her honor. In that situation, great. Do I think violence out the gate is the way to handle that? No. It's a very childish and, dare I say, privileged way to handling that situation, even at a barbecue. If someone insults your wife at a barbecue and with a joke, pull them aside, say something. Hey, my wife found that disrespectful. I found that disrespectful. If you could, just don't make jokes like that. Great. If someone's really being disrespectful, someone's drunk, you have to try to avoid these situations at all costs. I'm someone who trains martial arts, okay? And it makes me nervous in those situations because I don't want to get involved with violence. For one, when you actually train martial arts, you understand how little you actually can do in a regular world. Now, can I probably do okay against people who haven't trained, who are similar size and, you know, all this? Yeah, but you don't know what the fuck's going on. I've trained with savages that are just like, put me in a pretzel, could literally manhandle me. And it makes me very humble and keeps my ego in check to where I'm like, I want to avoid violence at all costs for multiple reasons. Do I have like a side of me that enjoys the competition of martial arts? Yeah, that's partly why I do it. But there's another side of me who's just like, I want to just be able to defend myself. I like the discipline that you get from it. And it makes me realize I want to avoid this outside of this at any cost. I don't want violence to ever be the action. For one, your boy's getting older. That's a game that you're going to lose eventually. You're just going to go out fighting everybody, punching everyone. It's a matter of time. Father Time, listen. That's the motherfucker of life, is that if you want to live that way and you want to use violence and all of that, there's going to be a day where it's going to start tipping out of your favor. Okay? So it's going to be a heavy fall. And I feel like it should never be an answer. The big issue with this, I think, is it sets a precedent that in some situations, violence is the answer. Especially if you go into a comedy club. You just saw Will Smith, who a lot of guys before this thought was the coolest dude, go up on stage and smack someone in the face for a joke that they didn't like. I will Sparta kick someone off a stage if they ever slap me on stage. Now, keep in mind, this is the parentheses around that. I say that now, but here's also the fucked up thing. In that kind of situation, you don't know what to do. It's so weird. You're like, I can't believe this is kind of happening. So you're going to you might not do anything. I might not do it. I might not know how to handle it. If I was at the Oscars, and this is the funny thing, is I've heard so many comedians in person talking about, dude, if Will Smith would have came up to me and slapped me, dude, I would have knocked him the fuck out. First of all, no, you wouldn't. There's probably a few comedians who could. And it's just like, in that situation, you're at the Oscars. The biggest star right there walks on stage and slaps you in the face and then calmly walks away. I feel like most people would just not know what to do and would be confused, because it's not like this is just happening in the street or something, or, you know, it's like you don't know what the fuck is happening. I think the way that Chris Rock handled it he handled it like a G. There's a little moment, like I can't believe the composure that he had after that, to be able to riff and to still be like funny about it was amazing. The fact, the discipline that this man has, and the restraint to not even just break, because some people might have just been like, and just walked off stage. Hey, that would have been acceptable. If Chris Rock had done that, I'd be like, fucking get it. But for him to still riff and be like, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me, and that got a laugh. Like, there's so much that was wrong with that situation. And for him to, when there's a little moment that you got to watch back if you haven't seen it, where he goes, oh, I could, and then he just goes back to talking. Because let me tell you something. Your boy is a baby comedian. I've been at this, I don't know how many years now, 3-4 years. Okay, a baby. Chris Rock has been doing this for what, 25 years, 30 years? This man has been doing stand-up comedy. The wit and quick response that Chris Rock had, and the ammunition in reality in that moment. Will Smith had a squirt gun and Chris Rock had a nuke. Do you remember that part in Star Wars where Obi-Wan Kenobi goes, Anakin, don't do it. I have the high ground. That was Will Smith and Chris Rock. Chris Rock could have eviscerated Will Smith in that moment past the point of repair. Will Smith from his career on would have been in a fucking Darth Vader suit, just. That's my Will Smith impression. Jada, I will do whatever you want. Stupid. Listen. Chris Rock's a marksman. Okay? And with all the ammo that he had at that moment to completely, he could have went diabolical, baby. He could have went diabolical with it. Just ripped into Jada, their open relationship, the entanglement, the fucking August, whatever that dude's name is. Because I've tried very hard to only have a unique take on the Will Smith thing. Didn't really do any jokes on stage about it. I put out the video. It was whatever. But the craziest thing is Will's reaction to this. And this is like when you see a bully go off on a kid at school because you know he's getting the shit beat out of him and he can't take this out on anybody else, so he takes it off on this helpless person. He viewed Chris Rock as a helpless, someone who wasn't going to do anything back to him. There was going to be no repercussions. Truth is, I saw a lot of things about what if it had been not Chris Rock and been The Rock? Do you think he would have still went up there and slapped The Rock in the face? I'll be honest with you. In that situation, I think The Rock is rock bottoming Will Smith on stage. He's going to go focus, go under him, rock bottom him, maybe a little people's elbow. Okay? And he's going to be like, Jada, does this just, she's going to be like, it doesn't matter about your hair. Have a pizza with your alopecia. That's something The Rock would say. But for one, he chose a target where he thought he was not going to have any repercussions. And another part of it, the fact you have that much entitlement to think that you could just go up there and do that to someone. You could walk on stage during someone else's performance and slap them in the mouth. We could dissect this all day because guess what? It's a fucked up situation. It says a lot about our culture. Will Smith was laughing at that shit. And it's the most mild joke ever. Can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2. She has a shaved head. She'd always had a shaved head off and on, I feel like. Alopecia. How do you know it was because of stress or anything? She put out a video a couple days before saying, man, I don't care what people say about my bald head. Fucking prove it. Because you did it in that moment. Will Smith, there was a footage that came out of him from like 15 years ago making fun of some dude's bald head on a talk show. Talking about him shining his head. He's so blind. And then into the crowd, he goes, oh, it was just a joke. That was a light one. Literally almost verbatim what Chris Rock said. It's like the hypocrisy. And the fact that he wasn't arrested right there, taken out. Can you imagine if anybody else had done that? If it had just been some random person ran on stage. But it was just like this entitlement. And it shows like this weird Hollywood culture. I think that's what's fucked up. Is that there were so many celebrities. I didn't see one fucking person stand up for Chris Rock in that moment. All these actors like, oh, fucking Bradley Cooper. I liked you in The Hangover. I liked you in Limitless. But runs up, consoles Will Smith. And then you got Denzel Washington. I wish Denzel Washington would have fucking training date him. You know? Oh, you motherfucker. Anyway, that's all. That's the only impression I'm going to do with Denzel Washington. But it just shows this weird culture that someone walked on stage, assaulted someone, and no one did a thing. No one, condemned him. It was a complete act of violence. All these things, all these celebrities and actors pretend they're against. But in this situation, none of them did that. It doesn't matter. Like the story would have been, if it was a harsh joke, maybe there'll been some insults or some articles about Chris Rock the next day. Chris Rock pokes fun at her alopecia, blah, blah, blah. They would have had their own spin on it. But instead, the whole story is this. And no celebrities outside of Jim Carrey. we're talking shit. And why? Jim Carrey's a comedian, and he knows. I feel like Jim Carrey's been legit woke for a while now. And I think he knows how terrible of a precedent that sets. I don't know. Could you imagine if it was a woman went up and slapped another woman? They would have stopped the show. But for some reason, like this is in the vein of Hollywood manipulation, of power, of this person wielding a certain amount of power. They were able to get away with something that no one else can. And people were scared to check Will in that moment because the power that he has in these Hollywood circles, that he's this crazy, bigger than life name. Dude, their family's been fucking weird for years. They don't live in reality, which it makes sense why they wouldn't live or play by reality's rules or have understandings of what they can or can't do. It's just, I did see, someone actually, I think, talked about it on stage last night about how Will Smith saw his mom getting beat up by his dad or, abused emotionally, and he never stood up for her, which that would make sense why he has a hair trigger response to that kind of moment. I understand that because that's what it seems like. It seems like someone who's emotionally unstable, and it came out in public. Listen, there's times, and that's, I think, the core of the story. If you want to talk about why he did it, Will has been getting fucked up for years. I think the reality is he's with a super toxic person who, as she said it herself, addicted to chaos. And he might be someone who didn't want an open relationship. And he loves this person so much, has kids with her. And he's out here, it's like having a dragon for a pet. His house is constantly getting burned and singed, and random villagers found dead in the garage, and he's just like, oh. He's just like, it's okay now. And I think it's just slowly wearing his soul down to where he doesn't even, he's fucking burnt out. You can see it, that kind of response to defend her. And because I think he truly loves this person. And I think what it is it comes down to codependency. It comes down to Will, his life being so affected by this person's emotional stability that I think he's been trained like fucking a sleeper cell to where he saw her, because he was laughing, she reacted a certain way and looked at him, and he was like, I need to show her that I'm on her side, or this is going to be chaos and misery for me and our home life. So I need to do this crazy act to try to do what I can to help her, to try to avoid this bigger situation. I think that's really what happened, and I'll take that with a grain of salt, but it sounds true because that wasn't a stable person. The way he was so emotional the second, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Just so angry. Chris Rock, I will. Yeah, he's emotionally hurt. That's what I think it really is. I think that entanglement shit, listen. Open relationships, I don't know, to each their own. If they can make it work, great. Do that. I'm barely emotionally stable enough to have one relationship. My dog, okay? My dog is an emotional wreck sometimes, all right? And that's hard enough. I couldn't imagine an open relationship. But also the entanglement. And the fact that it was all out there. It's like she's shaming Will Smith. There's a weird thing, and this is a real thing that happens, that people don't acknowledge in our culture that much. There is a side of our culture that's fucked up. And, I don't agree with this, and I try my best to go against what feels like a norm is that men aren't as acceptable of showing emotions in culture, of being vulnerable, of sharing how they really feel and showing their feminine side. I have emotions. I've been through some stuff in my life that I suppressed for a lot of years, and it would come out with anger and violence and the outrage, like I would be so pent up, and it'd be like a pressure cooker. And any chance I got, someone, bumped into me at a party, or I got drunk and I found an opportunity to let some steam out of the pressure cooker, I did. And it wasn't healthy. And it's because I didn't have any real coping mechanisms when I was young. I didn't understand what was happening. I just thought I was a violent person, and that I was just this person that always was going to be a slave to their surroundings, that anything could set me off. And I think in culture, there is guys are supposed to not be vulnerable and not show their emotions. And, Will showed his emotions, and he got dragged through the memes for it. All those entanglement memes. That was a man going through probably one of the hardest things of his life. To be a celebrity and have your business put out there like that, it's got to be insane. It's got to be terrible. Even what was it, Tyrese? There were so many Tyrese memes, but this man was having an emotional breakdown, and we turned it into memes. I'm not saying that's the thing, is that's just what's going to happen, but there has to be something about men's mental health. There really does. And that's where I think things have to change, and we have to understand who men are and understand, I don't know, who men are, the struggles that men go through, because there is, men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. There's real pain that guys go through. And, what I do is I try to just reach out to friends. If I know people are going through something, I try to just let them know a little bit. Hey, I'm sorry, this is happening. If you ever need anything, let me know. Acknowledge that, hey, you're going through a struggle. I think that's a step in the right direction. The whole, put some fucking dirt in it and get back out there. That's life, ain't no big deal. That shit ain't healthy. And if you're a young man listening to this podcast right now and you're fucking struggling, you're dealing through something, fucking journal about it. Fucking talk to someone about it. Talk to yourself about it. Tell yourself that it's okay that you're feeling this right now. I remember when I first got a journal, people made fun of me. Oh, you have a diary? No, I have a fucking magical tool that I'm decompressing years and years of fucking baggage. I'm finally unpacking it and not even realizing it. You start journaling and it just starts happening. Start taking notes out. Okay. Let some steam out. And there's a way, but here's the other side of it. There's something that happens when men want to conform and they want to appease a woman like Jada. Jada, addicted to chaos. What that means, she legit is saying, I want instability. I'm addicted to it. I'm trying to, my drug is chaos. So the person that I'm going to be with is going to be involved in chaos. And if you just accept that, and Will accepts that, he's going to start changing who he is as a person. At his core, his own values and everything, he's going to start giving those up. And I think when you start doing that, even the person that you're with respects you less because they're like, you don't even have the fortitude. So they're going to even treat you less. They're humiliating you. And I think that's what happened with the whole entanglement thing. And ladies and gentlemen, we spent a whole episode talking about this. And you know what else? I think it was worth it. I think it was good that we talked about it because what really happened was, people want to look at it as a toxic trait. Oh, he defended her for her. We really have to figure out this whole culture of equality and where chivalry is and where overstepping and where you are literally violating someone else's existence with what you did to Chris Rock. Because it's just, there's so much that's wrong. It's 100% wrong There was nothing right about what Will Smith did. Not one thing. It wasn't that he was sticking up for his wife because that wasn't his motive. It felt like his motive was coming from an emotional point and having instability because someone wasn't really insulting his wife. It wasn't a real insult. And I think he was it was something else going on deep inside of him. And I hope Will figures it out. And listen, more importantly, Chris Rock is a legend. Is the way he handled that. He's the person that's almost getting swept under the rug because he's the one that was humiliated. But Chris Rock, if you're listening to this, friend, handled that like a G. Nothing to be embarrassed about. He handled it perfectly with so much fucking class and restraint and discipline. Just a fucking professional. To be able to still go through that, get back to what you're talking about, and to just handle it. The motherfucker's got a chin on him. Okay? He's got a chin on him. And I'm happy he did. All right? I'm happy he had a chin on him because it would have been so much worse if he fell to the floor. If he took a knee, I'm like, oh, come on, Rock. How you gonna let this man rock you? Rock. You can't rock someone named Rock. Listen, as you can see from that, I've never done a Chris Rock impression ever. It's just not in my wheelhouse. Have you ever? No, I would we almost went fucking the redneck tour. Have you ever been slapped on stage? Well, you might be a redneck. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to this episode. We're going to start having guests. We might go down to just one episode once a week while we figure everything out. A lot of transitions happening, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends, tell your mother. All right. Remember, no matter what, I still love you.